Hi guys, and welcome to Goldenrod Radio, brought to you by Team Removing. My name is Aaron Minjun, and today we start off the new season of content from Team Removing with four very great individuals from the Southeast Asia region. With me here today on our first episode, Clifton Goh, Keith Yong, Clive Orr, and Malik Hisham. Guys, thank you all so much for joining me today on our first ever episode of this brand new series. Clifton, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Kristen from Singapore. 2011, I guess. Quite a number of years. Yeah.
All right. What about you, Keith?
It's from Malaysia. I like everyone. I played it when I was a kid, but I restarted the game last year.
Clive.
Oh, okay. I'm from Singapore and I started playing PTCGO first 2 years ago, and this is my first season.
All right, great. And what about you, Malik?
Hi, I'm from Malaysia. I've been playing for a very long time. I think the longest among everyone here. I've played for about 10 years. So since I was a senior up until now. And yeah, I think that's about it.
All right, great. So, on today's episode of Goldenrod Radio, we'll be starting off by talking about Worlds and essentially how each and every one of you got there. And we pretty much know that each of your journeys are slightly different from each other. And we just want to go a little bit into your experiences and bring forward the thought process, especially in our region, and for our viewers' benefit of understanding how do you get from being a casual player or a regional player in Southeast Asia all the way to the World Championships. So let us start with the season as a whole. Clifton, tell us a little bit more about your 2018-2019 season.
Okay, so the season started off pretty well. I made cut at the Anaheim Open, which gave me a huge boost. But not say very huge boost in the big scheme of things, but 80 points is quite a lot. And from that point onwards, I played Gardevoir Sylveon for a lot of the first quarter. So I made day 2 at EOIC with the deck. And afterwards, the second quarter, I played Zoroark variants, especially Zoropod, got top 64 at Oceania, IC. Then third quarter, I stumbled a bit with not very good performances with Bathrock, but still managed to get points at Latin America IC with very last minute pick of Tapu Bulu. Thanks to you and Malik for advice on that. And Vika Bulu also helped me get second place at Thailand as well. Then finally, I returned back to Bathrock for the remainder of the season and all the way from Melbourne regionals to Singapore SP, and then finally wrap up the season with Evil Tao to make top 64 NAIC and top 32 at Worlds. Yeah.
Sounds like a very exciting season there, Clifton. Tell us a little bit more about your traveling that you did throughout the season. I presume all of us here in the chat right now essentially would have to travel internationally, and you mentioned you were at the Anaheim Open, as well as the multiple regionals across the season. So tell us a little bit more about traveling as a whole throughout your season.
Traveling as which part of traveling? Like
multiple countries, multiple different types of events that you traveled to.
Right. I think it's quite fun, quite exciting. Personally, I'm not sure if other people share the same sentiments. I know some people have burned out to travel. The worst part is the plane, obviously, being stuck in a metal box for quite a number of hours with strangers. Not too fun. But other than that, I think it's good that your hobby allows you to see the world, and exhausting but fun. Yes, that's what I could sum it up as.
Great perspective. Keith, So your background essentially is a first-year competitor in the Pokemon training card game. You've had a very strong local presence in Malaysia. You have consistently topped cups, challenges, as well as regionals, and it culminated as well in your performance at the Oceania International Championships. Tell us a bit more about your season and how did it feel being a first-year competitor?
Right. So I just decided, a couple of us decided let's go for Worlds this year. First stop is Oceania, right? And to be honest, if I didn't get point cards at Oceania, I would have gone for Worlds anyway. But luckily, I managed to get there in the last round, ending that in 10 minutes. But getting top 64, 130 points gives you more than half to get to Worlds. So I think a couple of weeks after Oceania, it was Philippines.
Mhm.
So I made top 16 there as well. That got me to about 210-ish. And the rest just came from league challenges. Just won that complex. Everything was bus rock all the way. Oceania bus rock, just bus rock, Philippines bus rock. And the only other one was Malaysia regionals because it was in Malaysia. Bus rock as well, but top 8 for that. And for the Singapore SP, I think we went down right after Malaysia. Played Malamar, but no cut there, so that didn't really matter in the end. But yeah.
Very interesting. I think you keep mentioning Buzzrock as your preferred deck of choice. Essentially, I think that is a very popular deck around the world. Our region is no different from that respects. Tell us a little bit more about your preference of sticking to one deck. And I'm sure this is a question that I'll be asking a few of you, the rest of you as well. But for Keith in particular, how did you formulate your deck choice in multiple events in the trot? You've stuck with one deck, it worked. So what were you thinking throughout this time? Did you not think about, would you expand beyond one deck or?
So that was a deck choice going into Oceania, right? And I knew that Oceania was a 9-round best of 3, which was going to be my first ever 9-round best of 3. Something simple, right? Something aggressive. No ties, all wins, all losses, whatever it was. Seemed to be the easiest play. Zoroark variants were better, I think, but probably I would have gone into too many ties. I didn't know the deck that well. Buzzrock seemed to be more linear. And going on from there, I think comfort is a huge thing, right? You know the deck in and out, so that is something you don't know.
Yeah, great. An interesting perspective. So let's move on to Clive then. Clive, you have had a huge season by all measures for a Pokemon trading card game player. You started off with a win at the Philippines special event, followed by 2 very quick top 2s, runners-up at Malaysia Regionals as well as Singapore SPA. And of course, it's fresh in everyone's mind that you came out 3rd place at the World Championships just a couple of weeks ago. So congratulations on what an amazing achievement. You are therefore the top performing Southeast Asian ever. Tell us about that experience. Essentially getting that invite, getting that day 2 as well, and then eventually culminating in a Cinderella story at Worlds.
Okay, so basically, I started playing for fun this year actually. Like a lot of people asking me, hey, you want to go Oceania? I see. I'm like, I'm not gonna spend so much playing Pokemon. So after that, my friend Raul, he decided to invite me to go Philippines with him to play. And after that, she didn't go. So I already booked my ticket. So I just, okay, since I already booked my ticket, I'm gonna go. And things turned out quite well for me in Manila. And at that time, I was playing Bus Rock, which is a comfort deck because been practicing this a lot, mirror, non-mirror. I know the matchup inside out. Then after that, Sorry, my friend is disturbing me.
It's okay.
Okay, so after that, my matchup was pretty good. So my final was against Patrick Ebio. He was playing Zoro Gali, which is a pretty good matchup for me. So it was a breeze. So I get 200 points. So at that time, plus League Cup, League Challenge, I was like around 260 plus. And I remember I was at 20 plus position. So I tell myself, okay, since I have a good, quite a good mid start, so why not just keep going? So after that, went to like Thailand, Indonesia. I get points, but I don't get a lot of points. So, and after that, it start to get stressful because everybody's chasing top 8. So Malaysia, I consulted my friend Rauf. I say, I'm very stressed right now. I don't want to play Bus Rock because I don't want to face Mirror. I don't want to face Malama. So I asked him, can you give me a secret deck? So he's like, I'm testing Zygarde right now, and I think it's very strong. So initially, I'm skeptical. I don't believe in him. Then subsequently, I trusted him, and he gave me his refined list after testing for like 8 times. 8-time changes. So I decided to go with that list, and I did quite well with that. I could have gone. I could have got first. But I got price penalty, so I lost. So, but it was a good performance. And after that, Singapore, I was kind of lucky. I get top 8. So.
I mean, you're saying it's luck, man, but dude, you had multiple cuts in a row, so I mean, it definitely more than just luck somehow in that sense.
I mean, as in like, because my top card, I'm against Malik. He was playing Baby Boss. He was playing Baby Boss actually, so it was Zygarde bad matchup, and he break. So I did.
Oh, don't remind me.
Okay. So I went into top 8. And after that, and at that time I was pretty safe for top 8 stipend. So then subsequently I didn't play a lot because I'm busy with work. So basically for Worlds, right, I didn't really test so much because I don't have time. So after that, I tell myself, my mindset is going to be like, oh, let's travel, and I'm going to bring my comfort deck because I did badly in MAIC because I play Baby Bus, which is not my comfort deck. Yeah, so yeah, and after that, everything was history. Yeah.
Great. So we'll definitely get into your choice of decks for Worlds. I think that's something of a highlight in not just in our circle of conversation, but essentially also on social media. So we'll definitely get into that very spicy deck choice. So let's move on to Malik. Malik, so how did your season go? Essentially, you're back into the competitive scene. You mentioned that you played at Worlds prior to this. How does it feel overall, starting off the season with the mindset that you are going to go competitive after quite some time off?
Well, I didn't really start the season with the aim of qualifying for Worlds, but I just had the mindset where if I did well at certain tournaments and was in a position to qualify for Worlds, then I would just go all out for it. That eventually came at the Oceania International Championships, where I did pretty well. I managed to make day 2 and finish in top 32 with Vikavolt Tapu Bulu. Before that, all I was doing was playing at mostly League Challenges and League Cups and trying to like discover a bunch of decks to be comfortable with. I found that Vikavolt Tapu Bulu was a really good deck going into the Oceania Championships, and I did well there. So from then on, I just kept going. Unfortunately I couldn't attend the Philippines and the Thailand special events, so I missed out on a lot of points. Especially the Philippine special event. At that point of the meta, Vikavolt Tapu Bulu still had a pretty good position in the meta before Baby Bus became a thing. I went to the Indonesia Regional Championships, which was, I think, the last tournament where I played Tapu Bulu. I did pretty well there, made top 4, which sealed my invite. After that, I started to pick up Buzzrock. Actually, I picked up Buzzrock before I went to Indonesia. I just wanted to take a break from like high rolling with Tapu Bulu, as people say. I picked up Buzzrock and played at the Singapore League Cup, made top 8. I found that the deck was too good. It was too strong. It was complete. It had draw. It had power, raw power. So I really liked the deck. But for Indonesia, I picked to play my comfort deck over Buzzrock. So after Indonesia, I started to play Buzzrock at more events. I did all right at the Malaysia regionals. There were enough participants to have top 32. I made top 32 points, and also at the League Cup the next day. Then the week after was the Singapore SPE. As Clive mentioned, I lost my win and in to him. I did drew 2 games out of 3 in my win and in on the second day and was out of top 8. But I still played the League Cup right after the SPE and did pretty well. I got top 4 and got some points there as well. At that point of the season, I was in a decent position to challenge for top 8. Of course, if I did better at Singapore and if I attended more SPEs, I think I would have been in a better position.
Mm-hmm.
I went into NAIC trying to challenge for the top 8, but unfortunately, I lost my win and points basically at the NAIC. And yeah, I think Worlds was after that.
Cool, great. So you mentioned moving over to Buzzrock much later than Keith in this instance, and also you're doing the opposite of what Clive did. Right? Clive moved from Buzzrock to Zygarde. Eventually, that became his comfort pick. What was the thought process that you had, moving from something comfortable to something which was, in your words, too good not to play?
Well, in that sense, I felt that Tapu Bulu was in no position to sort of it can win games. It can win games against a lot of matchups, but there were just some matchups that was way too bad for Tapu Bulu. It wasn't able to catch up with decks like Buzzrock, especially with the B strings, and how much easier it was for Grubbins to go down very early game once DNC came out. So I felt that after that, my comfort deck was not in any position to do very well. So I had to find something that I was also comfortable with to play. After that, moving on.
Great perspective, thank you. So guys, we pretty much got to know a bit more about your season, and I think each of you have a very unique journey. But essentially, right now, the last topic of the previous format was Worlds, and I think each of us have a very different sort of experience at Worlds. So let's start with Clive. Clive, in a very quick one-liner, I'm going to ask you, how was Worlds for you?
It was fun for me, of course.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, yeah,
one-liner, right?
no, it's great, perfect. So going all the way to number 3, and using fun as your main one-liner, I think that's a very very unique perspective. What about you, Keith? How's Worlds for you?
Lucksack. got,
I mean,
got
you,
lucky some
yeah.
game.
So you went from day 1 to day 2. You got your minimum number of points on day 1. But I wanted to just talk about your day two. And I should have asked Clive this earlier, but I'm just gonna move on straight to you first. You played Lycanroc Malamar for your day two deck. You played Baswell Gobbler Shrine on day one. That was the deck to play for day one, as most of the Australians illustrated. But then you moved to a totally rogue deck for your first ever day two experience. Let us know a little bit more on your thought process for that.
Okay, so I played this deck at a random league challenge and won it somehow. I'm not sure how, but
Yep.
so after ending day one, right, after qualifying for day two, I was quite I didn't know what to do, right, because I didn't think I was going to qualify for day two, but I was quite insistent on sticking to Buzzcup Shrine because I thought the deck was way too good, right? You could handle most matchups, but I was thinking there would be some Greninja popping up here and there, which is more or less an auto loss for the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like gonna take in a Giratina or something to make that matchup work. But Aaron, I think you were there. So on the way home, taking the Uber home, King 5 was halfway like, you should play Malama Lycanroc. I'm like, I'm not sure.
Yep.
So the night before that, I couldn't sleep, right? Because my brother was snoring. So I was up all night thinking about, what deck to play. So there's a lot of matchups, right? If you take the Giratina in, the Green Ninja matchup is closed. The Zoroark matchups are not that bad, I think. Buzzrock matchups are easy. So Buzzcup Shrine, which I think was slightly problematic, but I think it's still, you can still handle it. So yeah, I think I made some tweaks to the deck that I had before the morning of the tournament, and I just brought it there. I think it was a decent choice, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was definitely a big surprise to see Lycanroc Malamar on the world scene, but I think you did brilliantly with it. And yes, I can attest to your night before the tournament having no idea what to play and eventually settling on something like that. So definitely kudos to you. Clifton, you got into day two on the back of being ranked number one in Oceania for the entire season. Tell us about your deck choice, which you mentioned earlier to be Yveltal Brick.
Okay, so I think it's quite surprising. If you want me to sum it up in one word, my run was surprising
Yep.
because I didn't have much time to practice the run up to Worlds. So I was down to like choices that I was comfortable with. I will never pick something that I have very little practice with. That's like doesn't matter how good the deck is. If I don't know how to run Zoroark, and if I fight Zoroark Mirror, I will lose. That's an example. So I'm down to like 3 comfort choices. Buzzrock comes in at number 3. Okay, because yes, I quite like the way I run Buzzrock, but I'm gonna face a lot of Mirror, and turns out that would have been the case.
Yeah.
Then became a 2-horse race. Gardevoir, which I've played the early part of the season to good results, and Yveltal because I've run it for NAIC to good results as well, and it's fresh in the memory. So I think you understand that Gardevoir was my front runner 1 week before Worlds. Okay, it seemed to have good answers to a number of the format, except for Buzzrock, which was not that bad of a matchup as people thought. Okay. Then of course there's always Yveltal. But looking at day 1 results, I saw a lot of Shrine, which I did not expect. I didn't know of the deck until like a few days before the event actually. Lots of Shrine and lots of Buzzrock. Yes, my Buzzrock matchup and my Shrine matchup, I don't think it's bad. Okay? But I don't think it's very favorable to the point where if you run into like 5 or 6 of these day 2, I don't think you can handle it. I don't think you can get away unscarfed. So this leaves Yveltal, right? Yveltal is good against Buzzrock, especially good against Buzz Shrine. And the Zoroark matchups are tricky, but you can't have perfect matchups all the time. So decide to run with. Oh yeah, and you have quite an okay Rayquaza matchup because from day one results, I saw that very few people ran Garp. In fact, I think only one ran Garp in their race. So, this deck has an okay Ray matchup, and I decided, okay, of the two comfort decks, Evotol seems to have better overall matchup spread based on day one results. That's all I have to go on with. So let's do it. And didn't expect too much. Just want to play a deck that I knew well, give people a proper fight, and I made top 32, which was something I didn't expect, and I was very happy for it. So it paid up. Yeah.
Great stuff. I think you pretty much summed up your reasonings behind your deck choice. So, Male, how did your Worlds go, and how was the Nashville Open?
Well, I went into Worlds not quite sure what deck to play. Okay, I forgot to mention earlier that at the start of the season, when I wasn't thinking of playing so competitive, I spent most of my time making Greninja work in this format.
Okay.
Not a lot of people are gonna like the sound of that.
Mhm.
So I really like playing Greninja, and it was one of the two choices that I was thinking of playing on day one.
Mhm.
The other deck that I was thinking was Zoroark Lycanroc. I tested both decks extensively before Worlds. I ended up choosing Zoroark Lycanroc for day one because of how I felt it had solid matchups across the board. It doesn't necessarily lose to Buzzrock. It's I believe it's more 50-50. Unless of course they do Buzzrock things and just smash you turn 2 and turn 3, which happens pretty often actually. But apart from that, I felt like the deck has solid matchups across, and I would be able to maneuver them going through day one. Unfortunately, I felt like I made the wrong call here. Going into day one and looking at the field, everyone was playing Buzzrock.
Mhm.
It was mostly Buzzrock or Shrine on day one. That's what I saw to the table on my left, on my right. So it wasn't so bad. Like, I actually won my first round against Buzzrock. That gave me some confidence. But I lost the next 3 also to Buzzrock. And I was already out of contention. Everyone just did Buzzrock things and just smashed me really early. So I didn't do too well on day one. Day 2, I ended up playing Greninja. Day 2 in the Nashville Open, I played Greninja. I don't think I made many friends that day.
Mhm.
I actually never considered Greninja until I was at the North American International Championships. I actually stayed with Andrew Estrada from Canada. The deck idea actually came from his testing circle. So shout out to Andrew for giving me the list, which I brought and tested even more for the Nashville Open. I finished top 128, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think top 128. So I got some points for the next season. Yeah, I can't really remember much from all of my matches, but yeah, I just wanted to give Greninja a last ride before it was fully rotated from standard. It was good. It didn't feel great looking at sad faces, but it was good.
Well, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? I guess if you manage to get into the Nashville Open, you probably wanted to make your mark. So, let's get back to Clive on Worlds. It's only natural that we start and end with you on what is probably the biggest tournament of your life. So, you've appeared on stream multiple times. You yourself had been video vlogging essentially throughout the entire weekend. But I'd like to ask you a little bit more about playing those top cut matches. What or even when you found out that you made top 8, and we all must know that 2 individuals with the same number of points actually bubbled out of top 8, and which is a very awkward situation that happened. It's definitely happened before. But walk us through your feelings making the top 8 at Worlds and eventually playing out your top cut matches. How did that feel?
Mm, actually, when I found out that I top 8, I don't really feel happy. Not because that I didn't get top 8, but at that time, my round 6, I got a game loss because there's a cut on my left hand side playmat, and I don't know how that cut appear below the playmat, but it's visible. So I'm not sure how it happened. So I got a game loss from that, and I could have won. So I was pretty tilted. Even after my round 7, I still think about it. So at that time, I was feeling unhappy and furious. So my top cut match, my mind was a bit clear after I went for my dinner, eat a quick burger, and try to sort out my mind so that I can concentrate on the game. So against Shito, I was feeling pretty okay because it's Rayquaza, and I've tested against Rayquaza with Zygarde, and it's not favored but can beat. So yeah, I just played the game, and when I won, I feel pretty happy. Yeah, because it's top 4. So after that, against Robin, before the match, I think I get a little bit too overconfident, and I think I was pretty tired, so I didn't really play my best. I don't have a game plan. So at the stream, I made a lot of mistakes. So after my top 4 game, I have a mixed feeling. I don't know whether should I be happy or should I be sad, because actually the prize money difference is too much actually. So yeah, it's 7,500. So I was thinking like I could have done it because it was a good matchup for me, but that chance just went away. Yeah, so I was feeling a bit upset, but after everything's over, then I feel happy because I did what most people didn't able to achieve. So I feel proud for my achievement.
Great to hear, man. Great to hear that, you know, at least internally you were able to bounce back as well. And definitely for what it's worth, all 4 of you here have definitely accomplished something in your own unique way this season, and to me, hats off to each and one of your achievements. It's definitely great to see players in our region especially actually, you know, vying for top honors, not just in our regional events, not just in Oceania, but also on the world stage. Now, speaking of that, in terms of our region as a whole, obviously among us, among you guys, Singaporeans and Malaysians, you've done a lot of traveling across the region across the past season. So my question to you is this: would you be traveling again this season? Malik, start us off. Would you still be traveling to vie for top honors once again?
I felt like last season, top 8 for Worlds was within my grasp, but I feel like I didn't travel enough to some of the closer SPEs, Philippines and Thailand, because of university. And like to be so close and not be able to achieve it, it's kind of I guess I would use it as sort of a motivation to do better this season. So yes, you probably see me traveling at least around the C region, Southeast Asia.
All right, great. Clifton, what about you? Fancy another round?
Yeah, definitely. Sorry?
Fancy another round?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely will be traveling.
So now I would like to ask both of the first time competitors the last one season, Keith and Clive. You've gotten the taste of worlds. You've gotten the taste of different levels of achievements across the region. Will you be traveling again?
First, I'll let Clive go first.
I'll definitely be traveling, but it will depends. For sure, I'll go to Southeast Asia events for sure. Yeah, but to chase for top 8, it will depend on my Southeast Asia result because I have a guarantee next year trip, so there's no stress for me, and there's no stress for me to chase top 8 anymore for this season. So yeah, so the chasing will only depends my first few results.
Cool. Keith?
Yeah, I'll probably be same as Clive. I'll probably be going around sea chasing those events, and Oceania is here as well. But I'll see how the season goes.
Well, sounds like you guys are all addicted to the game, and that's a good thing, I guess. So, speaking of the new season, now let's talk about a bit more on your thoughts in terms of the format. We just had a rotation a couple of weeks ago. The format is shaping up. We know for a fact in the Melbourne special event, Rayquaza has made a splash, a very strong one, with Vikavolt, essentially. And of course, there's a host of other decks in the meta game right now. We have Magnezone, Duskmane, Necrozma. There's been talk about Metagross and Gardevoir coming back, although they have not really had that big impact yet. Buzzwole is still around, Zoroark is still around, Malamar variants is still around. So, looking back at what you picked at Worlds, or essentially what are the decks that you've been playing over the course of last season, Clifton, especially for you, Yveltal is long gone. It's been rotated out. What is your deck, or at least a few decks of choice that you have been toying with for the new season, and what do you think would give it the comfort level that you had with Yveltal?
Currently, I don't have anything that's within my comfort level, or anything that qualifies to be my comfort level. I played Malamar for Melbourne, simply because Malamar keeps most of its tools from previous format. So when it comes to knowing what to do and how to run the deck, Malamar seems to fit that category the most. Besides, it lost quite a number of its worst enemies: City, Arbotoxin, Shadow Stitching, probably some more, I forgot, but lost a lot of its worst enemies while keeping its tools. So I went with that, and top 32, not too bad, not too good, but at least he got points. Another deck that I really like is Zoroark. Lots of potential, because this format, I think it's a little bit unstable. I think supporter bases right now not established, not set in stone, lots of debate. So consistency is something that, it's being compromised at this point of time, and Zoroark provides consistency. Zoroark is consistency, poster boy for consistency. So I think Zoroark is very strong. The real question is, what do you pair it up with, and how to get used to piloting it without puzzles, because it's a totally different beast right now. So, and no Bridget, that's another thing. So Zoroark I think it's pretty good as well. Just I'm not sure which variant to run. So that's my take on the format.
Great stuff. Clive, still on Zygarde?
Yes, I'm still intensively testing on Zygarde because I feel there's still potential, because there's still a lot of Zoroark variants. And I feel Zygarde still can beat Vicare with certain techs. And I just feel that any deck that pairs with Weavile right now is very strong. You just gotta make it consistent.
Sounds really interesting. Keith, Malamar Lycanroc, do you fancy it, or do you plan on experimenting elsewhere?
Not yet. At least not for the current meta. There's too many Rayquazas running around.
Mm-hmm.
For it for day 2 of Worlds because I expected less Rayquazas, but I got proven wrong in round 7. But anyway, no, it's not good right now. So, but anyway, the format it's quite interesting, right? You have Malamas running around, you get let loose turn 1, and then you hope you draw into Lily.
That does sound very interesting.
So format is shaping up, but I don't know. Like I think I mostly agree with Clive, right? Weavile is quite a key component in the current meta with everyone just spamming abilities left and right.
Interesting stuff. I think 2 players mentioning Weavile. I think I saw a nod from Clifton as well. So I think on Malik, on your sense, you lost your buddy in crime. You lost Greninja. A lot of people are celebrating around the world, I think. But Zorok Lycanroc, your day 1 choice, still in the meta, touted to be one of the better Zorok variants, at least for now. But what are your thoughts then, moving forward in this new format?
Bulu is back.
Always
That's
good to
it.
hear. Always good to hear.
Oh well, yeah, and Zorok Lycanroc, of course. I'm also testing that deck. But yeah, I feel like Zorok decks are very strong in the meta because there's the rotation of N, and I find that there's slightly less disruption. Not everyone's playing Judge because oftentimes they don't want to make themselves dead draw after that. So it's like Marshadow or Judge, but after a certain point, if you're playing a Zorok deck, your hand tends to snowball, and you eventually almost have everything. So timing disruptions become very key in this new meta, but at the same time, it also slightly cripples you as the player that disrupts because both of them are essentially the same thing, Marshadow and Judge. But yeah, the slower format is very nice with stuff like Strong Energy, Sycamore, all the more aggressive supporter cards are out of the format. It's slowing down, which is great. And it's very interesting to see a lot of bigger stage 2 decks also popping up here and there. Metagross, Solgaleo. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, great stuff. I think for what it's worth, we have yet to see a big event in the Southeast Asia region. That will change in a couple of weeks. There will be the Malaysian League Cup coming up in a matter of 10 days, if I'm not mistaken, or 9 days. So that would be the first litmus test, I guess, for the brewers and deck builders of our region to really try it out and see what's going on. I mean, obviously, Clifton and Clive, you guys have been to Melbourne for the special event, so you guys have that sort of experience there to take with you. But essentially, let's talk a little bit more on our Southeast Asia region and maybe your hopes and your aspirations on a personal level for us. Any of you would like to share something about what are your thoughts about the SEA region moving forward? Clive, 3rd place at Worlds. What do you think about our region? Where do you see us going, in your opinion?
Why you arrow me at one for answer me? Okay, so I just feel like this season, especially in the Oceania region, I think it's going to be more competitive compared to last season.
Mm-hmm.
More players playing, more players chasing for the top 8. And yeah, so our standard is actually increasing, in my opinion. Yeah, but I just feel that more players need to come out with more deck ideas because a lot of players in Oceania still copies lists
Mm-hmm.
from the America, and I mean I'm kind of proving that actually a list from Southeast Asia originally could get top 8 in Worlds. I think that is something that is remarkable, and I feel like Southeast Asia players should actually trust themselves even more. So even Malama like rock is our own idea. So yeah, so I feel like we should move forward to that direction.
Great to hear. Good to hear. Keith, what are your thoughts on that? Would you agree with Clive? What kind of perspectives would you think about?
Ooh, I quite agree with that. Like he echoes most of my thinking as well. Like Malaysian Singaporeans, I think most of Southeast Asia, we usually just net deck. There's less confidence to bring a own your own brew of deck to a big tournament, But yeah, I guess being creative is one thing. I mean, personally, I think I like the new format, testing out new ideas and stuff like that. There's a lot of room to grow. We have a lot of tournaments. I think mainly tournament structure might be something else, the whole other discussion. But it's good. I think the community is growing. We have a lot of players coming in. It's fun.
So great. Fair points, all spot on. Clifton, with your level of experience, you've been to Worlds multiple times. You've been active in this game since 2010, if not mistaken. What would it take for Southeast Asia to ramp up themselves, in your opinion?
Ramp up themselves. I think
Essentially, yeah,
skill
in
wise,
the world stage, or you mentioned skill, or even just the fact of the matter that, if we really compare ourselves to Europe or to the US, the scene as a whole is not as large, obviously, but we do have our own numbers. We do have our own tournaments that do fill up as
Right.
frequently as can. What is the missing part of the recipe for us to go one step further? I mean,
actually, to be honest, skill wise, we do not lose out to anybody. We shouldn't look down on ourselves too much. I think we have what it takes already. I mean, Clive has proven that we do have what it takes to stand near the top of the world, and I don't think we are lacking too much actually. So I don't think there's any missing piece, to be honest. And we do have our own brand of creativity as well. Zygot is a Southeast Asian creation. Malama Like and Rock is a Southeast Asian creation. I think innovation wise, I think we still have it. I think all we need is like for variants to go our way in big events a little bit, get a bit of a big break, and I think we are set. Yeah. And I think Southeast Asia is growing very rapidly. There's also another contributing factor to why I say that we probably are close to having what it takes, because I've seen a lot of growth rapidly, especially in the past season. I think this season will be a lot more competitive as well. People seem to be going around, or seem to have plans to go around tournaments, get tournament experience, and hone their skills even further. And I think that is good for the region. These are my thoughts.
great,
Yeah.
thanks. So let's tie it all up. Malik, what is your opinion in terms of the competitive community in Southeast Asia? It's somewhat a similar question that I've asked the rest, but essentially I'd like to focus a bit more on what do you think is the barrier for a casual player to move up the ladder, and is there even a barrier as a whole, or what do you think about that evolution of a casual player into the competitive scene?
Well, I think the barrier is themselves.
Okay.
That's a very tough question.
Deep.
I understand what you're saying. So,
I get a lot of comments from people that say that they don't think they're good enough, or they're not pro like you. I'm not pro like you, so I can't play in higher level events and do well. So most of the time, I feel like it's the mentality that people don't think that they can match top performing players that regularly travel and go to Worlds. So I think mostly is the mentality. They should think that they can do it and just go for tournaments, and they could do well. So I think mostly is people not believing in themselves.
Perfect. I think we have pretty much covered quite a bit today. So we're hitting the 50-minute mark. I think we've covered a lot in this conversation today, and I really appreciate all your thoughts and your insights especially on the numerous topics that we've covered. After all, this will be the first of many episodes for Goldenrod Radio. So thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and on behalf of Team Rainbow Wing, we'd like to extend our gratitude to each and every one of you for spending your time with us. Before we go, your final shout outs to anyone or to anywhere around the world. Let's start with Clifton.
Shout out to everybody who's watching this recording, this video. Thanks for watching, thanks for supporting, and stay tuned.
Right?
Yeah.
Keith.
Malaysia community, all the teams out there, Team Rainbow Wing, Team Sampa, Team Seven Head.
Team Radiance.
Everyone, yeah.
Cool. Clive.
I want to shout out to all the Zygarde fans out there, and shout out to my friends over here. Yeah, we're doing some intense testing, and shout out to Project AXT, because yeah, they are the place that where I hone my skill at.
Great. Malik.
I just want to give a shout out to everyone who's watching, the entire Malaysia community, Team Rainbow Wing, which I'm a part of, all my friends in Canada that I made back in Canada when I was playing there, Wesley, Andre, Emma, Andrew, Mark. I hope to see you guys at Worlds again, and yeah, you better qualify for Worlds first, especially you, Wesley and Andre. Yep.
Great stuff, guys. Thank you all so much. This has been Goldenrod Radio by Team Rainbow Wing. My name is Aaron Minjit. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next edition. Take care.
Bye bye.